I'm Deborah Crable, Director of Media Services for DJC Media Services. It is my honor and pleasure to be here today, serving as your moderator for the second in a series of forums that are being hosted by the NAACP Southside Chapter, COW, BIG, and the two primary ones are COW and BIG, and we also have the Educational Village Keepers, and we also have the Resistance Resident Matters. So we are going forward with our 16th Ward presentation now, and the way this will run, as we have with the other forums, you will have 2 minutes to offer opening statements. Our panelists will offer you questions. You'll have 1 minute to respond. We have Penny, Miss Penny, that will be there offering you your time stamps. She will hold up the yellow card when you have 30 seconds, and the red side when you have 15 seconds left to go. And so we just ask that you be mindful of the time. We are also taking questions from the audience, and we do have our page that will be taking your questions. We ask that you write your questions legibly and in large letters, as I will be reading them, and I need to have my glasses on at all times, as you just witnessed, so I can so I can read what you have written. So without further ado, thank you to all the panelists. Why don't we start with you all to introduce yourselves so our candidates will know who is asking the questions. Thank you. Naomi first.
Okay. I'm Naomi Davis, the founder of Blacks in Green, and here today representing the Coalition of Black Community Organizations, the Municipal Questionnaire Candidate Initiative.
Hello, my name is Nadana Carter. I'm with Southside Together Organizing for Power, and I will be representing the mental health movement.
My name is Joe Osbaker. I'm a 25-year civil service employee at the University of Illinois at Chicago. I'm on the executive board of SEIU Local 73, and I'm here today representing a new organization which is called the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression.
Hi, my name is Leroy Jones Jr., and I'm representing Coalition of Black Trade Unionists.
We can welcome all of our panelists. Thank you. And now for our candidates, you have 2 minutes to introduce yourselves and to offer opening statements, and then we will proceed with our questions. And Mr. Jones, when we go to our questions, we will start with you. Ms. Collins.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Coleman. I am candidate for Alderman of the 16th Ward. I have lived in this community my entire life. I actually consider the 16th Ward as the other family relative because I am the daughter of retired Alderman Shirley Coleman, who served the 16th Ward for 16 years. My background is not only government, but corporate, but non-for-profit because I hold a master's in non-for-profit management. I am running because not only have I had the educational background to legislate, but I have the heart for service to serve the residents of the 16th Ward. Our community is in trouble, and there is needed for a leader that will not only serve, dedicate, but make a commitment for change that's needed in the 16th Ward. Stephanie Coleman, daughter of Inglewood, candidate for 16th Ward Alderman.
Was that okay? Then I just jump in. Good afternoon, panel. Thank you for allowing me to. Good afternoon, panel. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. Appreciate you and all the guests that are here today. My name is Jose A. Garcia. I am a son of a legal Mexican immigrant parent who became naturalized as a U.S. citizen. I have lived in the 16th Ward for over 30 years, raised in Pilsen, Little Village, Gage Park neighborhood, and attended public schools in all three neighborhoods. Attended and graduated from Fenwick High School, a prestigious college preparatory high school that has a 97 college entry rate. Attended Loyola University in general studies for 2.5 years, received an Associate Applied Science degree in Computer Science, married, raised 5 daughters, and still raised 1 son who is in middle school. Further information about who I am and questionnaires will be on my campaign literature. Thank you.
My question is dealing with progressive income tax. Illinois residents pay a flat percentage of their state taxes as an income tax. Wealthy individuals pay the same percentage of their income tax to the state as poor. Unions, community organizations, and advocates have supported a progressive income tax where the rich would pay a higher rate of taxes than those earning minimum wage. Stephanie, would you support a progressive tax?
Okay, and the ending statement, I'm sorry, it sounded like a statement and not a question. I'm sorry. So it's kind of hard to.
So the question is the question of a progressive tax. Are you in favor of or are you opposed to a progressive tax?
I am in favor of what's needed for the 16th Ward residents. To talk about taxes is we need jobs in order to even talk about, housing. Oh, I'm sorry.
So it will be progressive tax versus flat tax.
Yes. The 16th Ward, I mean, to even talk about taxes is, we don't even have homeowners we haven't even promoted homeowners because I'm just caught up with the question. So, progressive.
Guests and panel, we've been overburdened with a lot of taxes in the community, especially in the 16th Ward. In the area of 59th Street between Western Avenue and St. Louis is considered a TIF program, which is an extra TIF levy for our neighborhoods, for the business district. We are overburdened, and if I get elected, I'm going to make sure that I can maybe look at the documents on how people can get back those taxes and try to eliminate on the progressive taxes that are being imposed on my neighborhood. Thank you.
All right, my question is about the police and civilian control of them. This question has been posed not just in Chicago, but in America since the police murder of Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri this summer. And more, there's a growing demand for civilian control of the police. Now, there's draft legislation which the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, which we have put forward, calling for an elected civilian police accountability council. That would be a council based not on the city council, but on the current police districts. There are 22 police districts. So there would be a council. This is legislation that would have to be adopted by the city council, but essentially it would take control of the police out of the hands of the mayor and put it into the hands of this new body. Every police district would have its own council election. There's growing support for this. A number of churches, Rose Joshua, actually, of the Southside chapter of the NAACP, has spoken for this. A growing number of unions, including the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, has endorsed it. And all of those young people who've been marching back and forth across Chicago since August, the Black Youth Project, We Charge Genocide, they're all on this as well. So my question for you, would you support the adoption of such legislation by the Chicago City Council?
Yes, I would. Just as the issue of electing a school board can apply to the Chicago Police Department so that our residents won't feel intimidated, because there is a disconnection between the police officers and the community. Our officers do not look like us. our young people are intimidated instead of being encouraged to do better. We're intimidated. So I absolutely would support council that would, the community can hold the officers accountable versus just being accountable to the leader of the city, that our residents will have a say-so. CAPS programs, block club presidents, along with that our community can be involved in the process of who is serving and protecting our neighborhoods.
In regards to the question and the legislation being drafted, of course, anytime there's a legislation, you have to put it into vote. I don't know what the outcome would be in Springfield for that, but if it's ever enacted, I would be in favor of it. We have to do a 4-grid program in the city of Chicago where the Southside grid will be one person responsible for any actions acquired. Then you got the middle grid, and then you got the northern grid. So I would probably try to impose grids and not just one person in downtown dictating what needs to be done. And that way the churches and the communities can be also an asset and an intermediary between the police and the community. So I will enforce grids and let the people work with let the constituents of those grids work very well with the police so that there could be accountability. And that way we don't have all these writings and racisms and all that's involved in all different states and countries. Thank you.
Hello, candidates. In 2012, the Chicago Department of Public Health closed 6 public mental health clinics and forced clients to go to private clinics, in addition to which they reduced the funding to those clinics. Do you believe the Chicago Department of Public Health has an obligation to provide health services to the community? What should the focus of the Chicago Department of Public Health be?
I do 100% support. I'm from Inglewood, so I understand that my neighbors, our community, that there are some people in this world that are walking down the street every day that don't even know they're in this world. And this is just to make it plain and honest. Mental health is a huge issue, not only within the African American community, but in other races as well. But I'm just going to talk about 16th Ward because it is so prevalent. We need a mental health clinic. We need a mental health facility in the 16th Ward. So I am in agreement that we exhaust all resources so that we can get a clinic in the ward, some type of center to address mental health, because it is real and it does exist.
Thank you, sir. Great question, and this is my answer. Approximately 5 months ago, I attended a community forum on 51st, approximately 55th and Kedzie at a Catholic church. And Mr. Sheriff Tom Dart happened to be there in that forum. He truly addressed the issue. I'm having problems of the mental health clinics being closed because since they're wandering around and they're not being fed their vitamins, their medicines, I'm ending up putting them in prison. I am opposed. We have to do something to open up the mental health systems. So, yes, we need to open up the clinics so that the individuals don't go in incarceration in Cook County Jail. I am in favor of opening up health clinics. Thank you.
Hi, Naomi Davis from the Coalition of Black Community Organizations and the Municipal Candidates Questionnaire Initiative. Talk to us about your views on an independent democratically elected school board, CPS open enrollment neighborhood schools versus privatized charter schools, and about the schools closed in your ward and your involvement in ideas for their future use.
Okay, Ms. Davis, question number 1 was an elected school board. I am in favor of an elected school board, just as the gentleman discussed about the Chicago police, that the residents would have say-so. Parents that have children in the Chicago public school system, they know the daily struggles. They know the ups and downs. So why not have those parents' voices be heard so that that board can be held accountable by the parents and not by just one individual? Yes. Second question.
CPS open enrollment neighborhood schools versus privatized charters.
I am in favor of a quality education. 16th Ward, we had some of the most schools to close, and this is going into your third question. Our current alderman did not show up to a meeting. One of the schools in particular, which has been in the community 50, 60 plus years, which is located next door to a police station. One would consider this to be the safest school in Chicago, if to be that close to a police station. Quality education, but quality education and the involvement in the schools. An alderman that did not participate, and I am in favor for making sure that no more schools, I will fight that no more schools are closed in the 16th Ward because our children need a quality education.
The independent elected school body that is going to be in the referendum on this year's petitions or elections is very self-explanatory. Are we going to take the power away from the Board of Education so they could go ahead and announce what schools are going to be open or closed? Or should the mayor who's going to be elected be the responsible person to select that person? We're going to see what the polls are, but my answer to that would be yes, we do need an elected school board independent body, so that way the people who voice their voice and their voting will take effect, and that's what's going to happen. I am in favor of that. As far as the charter schools such as UNO is just another choice school that is publicly funded by taxpayers. It is a choice school that we as parents living in that area can allow our kids to attend if we solely choose. It's not another school where it's going to be privatized, like say Walter College Prep in the north side, but it's just another public-private charter school that's being funded by the taxpayers. And would I be favor opening charter schools? If the public schools are being lack of resource, not teaching our kids, then I have no choice but to be able to close down those lack of schools and promote charter schools to help our neighborhoods. Thank you.
I'd like to follow up with a school question from the audience. And this individual would like to know if you will be willing to give up 10% of your aldermanic salary for the betterment of public schools in the 16th Ward. Ms. Coleman?
I would be willing to do, that's a good question. I would be willing to allocate whatever resources that this 16th Ward needs, because again, our children need a quality education, whether it's through a donation personally, and that comes from a personal, if you have the heart of service, you will do whatever it is to sponsor a child to go through an after school program or whatever, whether you fundraise, you donate. I would make a plea to people, to residents, to the community. Whatever is needed. You know, that's where the heart of service comes in. Anyone can legislate, but in order to have that heart of service, to go that extra mile and be willing to really invest in our children for a quality education.
community and panels, 10% is a tip of the iceberg. I think I'd be able to give up 10% for my kids. Back then, 3 years ago, when the current mayor said we need the schools open up a little longer because we're having infestation of kids killing each other. The union put it into motion that you cannot dictate what we need to do. And so they went on strike for 3 months. If you kind of see the big picture, was it really for the kids or was it for the money? Me giving up 10% of my salary, yes, I will give it up for the better education of the kids in my neighborhood. Yes, I will vote yes.
Well, my next question is on safety. In regard to the crossing guards getting hit on a regular basis, would you support an ordinance similar to the construction ordinance where you get $10,000 fine and 14 years in jail?
Just maybe 2 years ago, I called 311, and I suggested 311, you know what? If you don't have a crossing area for the Cook County Sheriff right across the street from the Cook County building right off 2800 South California, a sheriff is going to die. Guess what? 2 years later, you had a gentleman that got off of work, maybe working long hours. The Cook County Sheriff official was wearing dark uniform. And guess what? The young lady is not with us. I will support a penalty for speeding in the areas where we have high traffic, and maybe even commit to do bumper zones so that the vehicles can slow down, so this doesn't ever happen again.
This is a health question. There are constituents within our communities that are often forgotten about, namely the disabled population and people living in poorer communities where there are food deserts that lead to failing health, diabetes, strokes, heart attacks. How are you connecting with the residents within your ward who are specifically hard of hearing and visually disabled? What programs or services can you propose to assist these community members?
In order to share some wisdom on that, I need to do more research. But basically, the community that doesn't have enough resources, we all suffer because we need to give back to the community. I don't have the right answer to that question, but I would be more than happy to do more research. I'm sorry.
We're on you. This is a question about jobs. Our community is routinely promised jobs which never materialize. State your reasons why you would or would not support an ordinance requiring industries seeking license to operate in Chicago to detail all projections of new jobs with the actual zip code of the hires, salary, qualifications, and tenure, rather than these empty, hollow, generic promises of numbers, with a focus on new development to be targeted on the south and west sides of Chicago.
The focus on jobs is very easy. What we need to do is to be more transparent. We have a lot of contractors that are kind of, you can say, just washed away by minority contracts, and they're given to another contractor as the guinea pig to get the contract. So we need to have a lot of transparency who's under that contract, because if the jobs are being implemented in my ward and most of the workers don't live in the ward, there has to be someone that has to be standing up and put a halt to that job project, because not 20, not, you don't, you haven't hired 25, 30% of the constituents from that ward. So that job shouldn't even go forward. So what we need in the 16th ward is somebody to step up and speak that if you're going to create opportunities, 20 to 30% of those jobs have to come out of the ward. So that would be a network of working relationship between the contractor and the community. The development of people going into zip codes that are working there, that again, you have to be transparent, because why are we giving contractors to people outside the state and they're doing infrastructure within the ward? So we need to be more transparent and more accountable.
I had a question about the food desert over in Inglewood. Is bringing Whole Foods into Inglewood the effective response to resolve the issue?
If you bring big box companies into neighborhoods, I'll give you a good example. Right off Cicero Avenue in Armitage, you brought a Home Depot store, big box companies. If that sounded good, and then right across the street, North Avenue, you brought a Walmart. But guess who suffered? The little stores around the neighborhood. So are we really helping the neighborhood by bringing big box stores or companies? Are we helping the mega individuals that are making the big profits? So it's a really critical situation that we have to know, and it's just bring it to the attention of the community. Do you guys want big revenue or big box stores, or you guys want to put just a little small strip malls so that way the money is being dispersed throughout our community? Thank you.
My next question is on retirement security. 4 labor unions have filed lawsuits against the municipal fund pension reform bill. The original bill agreed to by 28 of 31 unions to reform the Chicago Pension Fund SB 1922, passed the state legislature on April 8th, 2014. Would you support it?
First of all, in order to reduce the retirement security, there is not enough people working in the community to supplement the retirees that are going into retirement. So what we need to do is we need to create more jobs so that these jobs could bring more income as far as taxes, so that the Social Security could increase. But what has happened is, because of the lack of people working in all neighborhoods, especially my neighborhood in the 16th ward, there's no income. So who's going to suffer? Is the retirees that are trying to get the little Social Security they invested for the past 40, 60 years of their lifetime. Would I support? I don't know the details on that SB 1922. I need further research. I'm sorry.
Well, it's referring to public pensions, not Social Security, public pensions.
You did say retirement security.
Yeah, but retirement for the public employees.
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Next question.
Yeah, well, he said that he needed more information on that.
More research.
More research on that question, be able to respond effectively. Yes. What I would like to do a follow-up on the big box.
Yes.
Is the, if it's not big box, are we looking at small businesses? What is the answer for generating a substantive, sustainable economy in Inglewood?
Yes. If you go down around maybe the area of 59th Street and Kedzie Avenue, we have a grocery store owner. His name is George. He owns Pete's Produce. He bought that one corner area and developed little strip malls so that the people could invest money in the ward by having 5 different grocery stores, a dollar store, a Subway store, a Mexican deli store, a a restaurant. So what we need is diverse little strip malls so that people will know where to come, invest money in the neighborhood, and expand that money throughout the neighborhood. If we continue building big box stores in areas that are isolated or that are abandoned, we're going to tear up the neighborhood, and the little box stores are going to be closing down.
Any more questions from
This is a two-part question, again, going back to mental health. How do you feel about the closure of so many much-needed community mental health clinics? And two, how would you resolve the lack of resources for mentally handicapped or mentally challenged human beings, including and especially people that are 12 to 17, because they are not treated in the public mental health clinics, and they are also the ones that are most often arrested and their lives lead to prison?
Yes. Again, going back to that question, the conversation with Tom Dart was, how can we collaborate? How can we talk about opening the mental health clinics? Because we're having too many people in the juvenile detention system that are being incarcerated with real criminals that are there. So what happens is the mental disabled individuals that are not taking their resources, medicine, because of the clinics being closed, they're being assigned a number like the criminals that are doing murder or rape. And so once you're assigned that number and you're mixed up with them, you get caught up in the system and there's no way out. We need to work hard with Sheriff Tom Dart to solve this in the community.
Well, we're coming to the end of this solo performance from the 16th Ward. Candidate Coleman had to leave, as she had advised us in advance, and unfortunately the other candidates were not able to join us, but we do greatly appreciate your presence here today, and will now allow you to have closing remarks.
My plan about the 16th Ward is, we know there is no jobs. We understand that. What I'm going to do is create a special program. We'll create 150 to 200 part-time positions that will pay between $35 and $40 a day. I don't care if you just got out of jail just yesterday and served 14 years in prison. You deserve a second chance. What the jobs will entail of would be helping our seniors who are living on fixed income. I will create 3 criteria. One, the constituents that are going to be that I'll be paying will learn how to paint the front porches, how to fix hand railings, which is carpentry, and how to fix the concrete steps. So those are the 3 skills that I'll be teaching. At the same time, if you're in I'm going to allow them to be in a program for 1 year. While in the program for 1 year, I will also be teaching them computer skills, how to do cover letters and resumes, so that we could bring back that hardened heart to be a humble heart and give back to the community. As my constituents of 150 to 200 individuals are working, I'm also going to tell them, you're going to have to today clean up 2 full alleys from one end to another on both sides as part of some of the details that we're going to give back to the community. What I want to try to do, the bottom line is enough is enough. The 16th Ward has been kicked on, stepped on, spat on, and I am here that I want to make a change, not for me, but for the community. So please punch 54 Jose A. Garcia on Election Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. And please note that we will be having online the Game Changers questionnaire, and some of the candidates that were not able to join us today may very well have responded to that questionnaire, and you'll be able to find their responses online. We thank you, Mr. Garcia, for joining us today.